a university as well. The fact of the matter remains that only 3% of the GDP is being spent on education. In a country of 132 crore people, I think if the government initiative on education, and I mean, by no means I'm in favor of Aam Aadmi Party or the Delhi government by any means, but I found that their budget was 26%. And I went to personally to Delhi government schools, and we found tremendous improvement there in terms because they spent a lot of money on. So maybe the government can resolve to increase the allocation on education as far as GDP is concerned. We have a GDP of 2.8 trillion at this point of time. Even a 10% allocation would be massive, would be $28 billion. So I think the moment that goes, I mean, I don't know, although I don't want to, extend the session, but somehow I'm not able to reconcile as to why won't the government spend more than 3% on GDP in a country where illiteracy is so prevalent, in a country where skill development is so much needed. Why is the government not increasing the outlay for education? That question keeps haunting me. And I think it will keep haunting all the education, not just for BJP government, but it's been a history of the country ever since independence. Why those be so conjuice, if I might say, with respect, on education allocation? That is, and I think that is one of the main reasons why MSMEs today face these skill development problems.
Absolutely, Sharad. You are talking about 10%. Personally, if you ask me as a thinker, I would say for a country as diverse as India, which is so complex and so intertwined, we need to have in at least 15% of the actual allocation of the budget for education.
Well,
I completely...
So you can say, if left to me, if Dr. Datta was the policy maker, then education would have been different.
But coming to your question, there is a catch to that also. Let me come with the Aam Aadmi Party thing first.
No. It was Aam Aadmi Party was just an example.
23% education resources being spent on education by the Delhi government. The resources which the Delhi government is getting is actually the resources which has been given by the center.
So
आपसे लेके यहाँ पे डिस्ट्रीब्यूट कर
तो आप अपने ही लगाइए ना,
तो और वो हम लोग लगातार कह रहे हैं. अब let me come to how to increase the allocation of the resources, like in relation to education. Once this policy comes into implementation, this central legislation at the pan-India level, there is going to be a separate budget for this.
How much?
That for the finance ministry to decide. But the budget which will be allocated for successful implementation of the new education policy, that is for sure is going to be a good amount of budget. That much I can assure you. So that this legislation becomes successful at the grassroots level and at the pan-India level. And this budget which will be given for the implementation of the new education policy, that would be absolutely independent of the total budget which is allocated for education from the budget.
So let us all nominate Dr. Datta as the next HRD minister. So we'll have a better level of education. क्यों आपको तो minister बनाने का बात कर रहे हैं? So because हाँ अशोक जी
एक क्वेश्चन पूछना चाहता हूँ.
हाँ जल्दी से हमारा टाइम हो गया है.
जोरदार तालियां हो जाए. आप सभी गाने धन्यवाद.
Education is one subject, and we wish one day. Big round of applause for all the audience.
पीछे आ जाओ.
Mr. Vikas Gupta first.
He's Vikas Gupta.
तो वहाँ बना रहे हो हम यहाँ पे नहीं one by one then two by two.
Mr. Vikas Gupta.
Thank you. Let's give a big hand. Yeah.
Ms. Sumita Das.
आइए जी.
Ms. Anita Pandey.
All the best. Great. Thank you, sir. That's for you.
Dr. S. Mr. Narendra Khanna. Mr. Narendra Khanna. Ms. Nancy Juneja. Mr. Rajiv Williams.
Industrialists who excelled in their respective fields. So we have one such industrialist who's into machine manufacturing, Mr. Ravi Gupta. Mr. Ravi Bansal to come on stage, and may I request Dr. S.K. Datta, Dr. S.K. Datta just to come on stage for 2 minutes. We have Mr. Ravi Bansal.
Patanjali.
एसी चालू करा दिया, इसको जरा बंद कर। अभी नहीं लग रहा है लेकिन फिर भी एसी अभी हार्मफुल है। एसी अभी चलाना हार्मफुल। बंद करवा दे।
Dr. Datta, Mr. Ravi Bansal is one of our awardees. Although the award was to be given by the minister who's on his way, but I think Mr. Bansal has to leave for some important work. So he has requested, he has chosen you to give him the award. So with due respect, and I think it's a privilege for anyone to have an award from you. So may we request Mr. Ravi Bansal to come to the forefront. And Industrialist of the Year given by ICSME 2019.
Thank you.
MSME, Western UP Plus, co-chairman of Northern Region for MSME. I was here last week and it's a pleasure to be here today on a larger format and scale. We are talking about comprehensive strategy that industry per se needs and what is it going through. Friends, I'd like to have your attention because a couple of you are hooked up on WhatsApp. Please stop that. I think it's time to pay attention because we have panelists here who would be talking. Genesis of MSME or even scalability for that matter, skill set also for that matter. So what is happening is at one hand, we have 11 crore people employed in MSME. Government is talking of becoming 15 crore people. 31% manufacturing being contributed, manufacturing GDP being contributed by MSME, but it is contracting fast. So the paradox, the dichotomy, what is the problem? What is the real challenge? ये जब छोटे उद्यमी बाहर आते हैं, बढ़ना चाहते हैं, versus we are talking of industry 4.0, IoT and blockchain and 3D and artificial intelligence, the whole new jargons which these people don't understand because they do not have wherewithal. They have no infrastructure, they have no formal education and mentorship, somebody guiding them. They don't attend courses and classes, they don't go to sessions and all the things, IIMs and various other places. So what is happening is there's a big disconnect. What is the disconnect? And what is it that they need to do to ensure that they are in sync with the latest needs and requirements? Like for example, today Japan or Germany would have actually given lots of fillip to their MSME. Germany, as you are aware of, 70% of the GDP comes from MSME. And MSME is the backbone of any industry, any nation for that matter. Today, unless otherwise, the large corporates, let's say talk about Maruti to anybody for that matter, or Suzuki or Toyota, etc. If these people don't train their tier 1, tier 2 and tier 3 suppliers, so what happens is only tier 1 may have an access to technology and they may understand, but tier 2, tier 3 might be doing the dirty job. And normally what happens is tier 1 is given the job by these larger corporates and these tier 1 passes on to 2, 3, 4, etc. just to save cost and money, etc. Those who are not fully equipped, capable and trained to actually deliver the world-class technology or quality that self-certification requires and these companies need for that matter. And let me tell you friends that there is no mechanism which is actually driving that particular technological influx or percolating down from top to bottom technology influx is not happening. There's a big disconnect. So my take here is, we are talking of comprehensive strategy. क्या करना चाहिए? What is it that is needed? What is it that you think is lacking? I would like to ask this, and I will begin Mr. Tyagi from Haldiram because you come from a very respectable, reputable house, and in the last 20 years, friends, all of you are aware of Haldiram. जैसे कहते ना कि जहाँ इंसान मिलता है, आलू मिलता है, प्याज मिलता है, everywhere Haldiram is available globally, everywhere, at least in India for that matter. How did you do that? What is it that you do? How you scaled up all this and how you are scaling up today and you are buying Lavasa and all kinds of properties here and there. ये कैसे कर रहे हैं सर आप? Please, we want to have your take. Mic little closer, sir.
Thank you to everybody to inviting us. Our philosophy is very clear. Our first is the customer. It is not a customer satisfaction only. It is a customer delight. Customer delight means what is the difference between customer satisfaction and customer delight? Only difference, we go beyond the need of the customer. We do the research in such a way so that our customer will be fully satisfied in terms of the quality of the product, in terms of the safety of the product, in terms of the affordable price also. So this is our USP. And Haldiram, we have started in 1940. Currently, we are present in more than 80 countries. We have more than 10,000 employees with us, and we are a multi-product, multi-location company. So our first philosophy is the customer. Then, if we divide the customer, so there are two types of the customers. One is external customer and second is internal customer. Because if you don't satisfy the internal customer, you can't create the quality for the external customer. Internal customer is our employee, internal customer our vendor, internal customer our supplier. So we satisfy our external as well as outer customer. Second, we work lot of the work on the innovation. We try to innovate. We first find out what is the customer need and try to innovate, and we try to link the innovation with the customer need. For example, you take the example of Aloo Bhujia, you take example of Son Papdi, you take the example of recently Punjabi Tadka, you take the example of recently Diet Namkeen. So we try to innovate continuously. Third, we also have a cost roadmap without any compromising with the quality. And we always try to continuously work on the cost so that we can provide all the products to our customer at an affordable price. Fourth, in terms of the quality, we always work on the quality improvement, and we never satisfied with the quality of our product, and we always working to improve again. And last but not least, we never compromise with the safety of the product, food safety of the product. We have the advanced system, advanced technology, whatever available in the world. First of all, we have the fully automatic untouched plant. We have the X-ray machine. We have the IC MSMS to check the aflatoxin, to check.
Namkeen or bhujia is a very ordinary stuff, Bikaner में बहुत बनाते हैं लोग, हलवाई बनाते हैं, all that, There's no rocket science involved in that. How you scaled up all that operation? Was it all through automation, artificial intelligence, whether it was through technologies, etc.? And did it increase your cost dramatically, or did it make you more efficient and scalable?
Definitely, first answer is the automation. Because when we have the automation capacity, maybe 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 kg per hour, the cost of production will be very less, and you are making at the small level. But we were very small before the 20 years. So at the time of the small also, we tried to do some different things. For example, the namkeen was available in the loose packing. And Haldiram is only the company who has started the namkeen in the package category. They have first started, I think, 1990 to package the namkeen and to give to the customer, which have the life of the 4 to 6 months. So we were the first comer to come in the package namkeen. And secondly,
disconnect. What is it that you, Vikas, you think that we should be doing so that, you know, my friends here, the SME segment, there are a lot of captains and industry leaders, consultants, experts here sitting in this room. And I'm sure the moment they have some kind of insight, they will throw those numbers and figures to their friends and peers and colleagues as well as their clients so that they get benefited. So I want real takeaway from this particular session. So please, Vikas, your take.
So thank you, Mr. Agrawal, for giving me the opportunity to interact. So one point is very clear from what he said is finding the niche. That's the most important thing. I'll give an example. In 2010, when I was heading aerospace business for a multinational company known as SKF, and I was responsible for India, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, UAE and Israel, these countries. In 2010, the company acquired a company known as ITI, which was manufacturing steel balls, or rather balls. It was hardly a 35-year-old company, but what they had done, they had found that niche. They were able to manufacture those balls of every material, every grade. And not only this, they had got the knowledge of the application. What it means is they were able to predict the life of those balls in those applications. What I mean to say is that the whole thing to find a comprehensive and successful strategy is find your niche, find where you have to act and become a global leader. So the market is not just India, it is outside India also. So when we talk about differentiation strategy, and then we talk about low cost advantage strategy. So as soon as the volumes grow in, there are a lot of technologies that we can adopt that can give us cost advantage, but at the same time we have to find out where we play. Which strategy do we have to play? Do we be like a product company which is going to have high margin but limited number of market, or do we want a product or a company or an offering which can be offered to mass production? So one of the examples that one of the marketing leaders, C.K. Prahlad, says, and it is very true in today's world also, where the global economic power is shifting towards East. And the reason, when I say East, it's Asia right now and might be 20 years hence Africa. And the reason behind it is the growing consumer class. So there would be 2.4 billion consumers added in the next 10-15 years, and all of them, or most of them, will come from these Eastern world. And that is the reason why East has become so strong. But then, when we talk of capturing the Eastern market, we talk about volumes. And hence, I think when Indian companies think of growing, not just in India, but capturing the growth in the Eastern markets, we should always think about volumes and how we can maintain the quality, how we can meet the global standard, as well as the cost advantage out of it.
Ravi, complete this. I'm sorry. From what SME are today, from what is expected out of them, in the next decade, things are going to be totally different. 5G coming in, you know, the kind of technological influx that is going to happen. This explosive, you know, media data that is going to be coming, and the data is the oil we are all talking about. So what do you think, you know, how is it that they can connect and how is it they can leverage, you know, their present infrastructure to sort of, you know, get into the bandwagon of the new wave of technology that is happening? So your take on that, please.
My concept is very clear for that. First of all, we have to change our DNA. The present DNA is not working. What we are planning means if we are looking for Western or Eastern or any European country or American, our DNA is totally different. What we have been imposed for last 50 years, like हो जाएगा, चलता है, ऐसा ही होता है. So the important thing is first that we have to change our DNA. We have to come forward. We have to see the practicality. We have to see the current environment. We have to see what we can do best in the shortest time. That is where exactly we are lacking in technology. It's not there that technology is not there or technology was not there. Technology is there and technology would be there. But the only thing we lack is only our foresightedness to adopt the technology. What we're talking about 5G. I'm working on the 5G for last 1.5 years. We are just starting manufacturing optical fiber cables for 5G and as per the designing of Airtel and other telecom communications. And we found it that it is too late for India to start the 5G. If you talk countries like Korea, Taiwan and other countries which are already overwhelmed with the 5G. Now they are working towards 7G and other type of telecommunications. The only problem we realize is that still, apart from the infrastructure, the only problem is that our SMEs, our industrialization are not well connected with the IITs. If you take example of Chinese company, most of the Chinese company like SMEs, they are well connected with their IITs institutes. There the government help institutes, you go to the IITs and discuss your problems and take the solution and give whatever the remuneration you have to pay. So there is no technological gaps. But in India we have a huge technological gap because of that. We are looking for some consultants or looking for something, and even those people, even they are well equipped, well experienced, but they are not connected with the latest technology.
Ravi, for common people, SME segment, I'm sure you understand that education qualification, not at that level. They are not IITians, they are not from Harvard and MIT, etc. So, giving them that discount of that ignorance. Now, I would like to know from you this IIT, etc. that you said. Do you have a platform? Do you guide them? Ki, yaar, aisa kar lo. Why didn't you tomorrow log in here? And most of your problem will be solved. Like last week I was here. And there were a couple of people, friends, we are already here. Last week I was in ET Rise talking here. Because I am chairman MSME, I have lots of policy decisions from central government as well as the cluster development to the state government benefits. And I asked people, have you taken those benefits? They said, no, we don't know. So what is happening is the present benefits itself they are not aware of, leave alone the future benefits of the advocacy that is happening. So my request to you is, you just said about IIT, etc. Ravi, you are educated, you are qualified, you understand, you have a joint venture. But all those people, please, I'll take your answer.
Hi, this is Subir. Actually, we are a platform in the exhibition and conferences where we are conducting shows of the food industry and where the SME and MSME industry is taken care. We are providing servicing towards consulting regarding exhibition networking platform, and this is also that we are consulting throughout the years. Whomever is exhibiting with us in the food industry, we are having few of shows which is based on food, agri, grain, dairy, edible oil throughout the years. So this is how totally we are working with the SME and MSME industries. Thank you.
No, Subir, you introduced yourself. I want to know from your perspective, like, there's a disconnect between the SME versus what is expected and what is happening globally. So what's your take on that? What is it that needs to be done?
Basically, SME industries, in our perspective, SME industries is looking for more networking platform in India, and where they are going into any platform and they won't get connect throughout the years. We are the only platform in India which will be providing throughout the year connect to the dealers, distributor, manufacturing, networking, consulting, project, finance, everything. So this is how we are conducting this industry, in particular food segment.
Subir, you are talking of only food segment. I was just mentioning about one small thing, that there is something called a mentorship and mentees program. I really don't know how many people actually think it is valuable, but I at least weigh that. We had been growing almost at the rate of 100% year on year, and we got our company listed. I started from SME, At some point we stagnated. And I'm now wondering what happened, what went wrong. We realized that we do not have the kind of skill set to actually scale up our operation. Somewhere we got stuck. I was just asking Mr. Tyagi the same question. How is it that, from 20-year-old company that, small time, they had one store on Faridabad, Mathura Road, and, today, 6,000 crore rupees kind of thing that they're talking about, and they're building huge, large corporate. So this scale up that happens, I got stagnated and I said, listen, I am ready to lend my mentorship to a lot of people who do not understand. But I'm also willing to accept mentorship from those people, even sitting in this class, in this room also, that somebody wants to offer me mentorship, on a commercial level, any pro bono level, anything is acceptable to me. We will certainly like to scale up because I got stuck. So my request and take to you would be, Subair, that, you are talking of food industry. If it is a food industry also, somebody who wants to come up, and start business or scale up or has queries, technical issues, etc. Can they do that, please?
100% they can do it, and we are guiding, we are consulting them, we are guiding them, whatever the requirement, whatever the networking across the country, in terms of machinery, in terms of finances, in terms of networking, franchising, distribution, everything. We are there to help you out.
I'm sure you're not too expensive, huh? All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we have run out of time, but I'm sure and I'm glad that these panelists have been able to, yes, I'll take questions, sir. These panelists have been able to do justice to, the way they think that their business, they have been able to scale up. I'd like to take just quickly 2-3 questions, please. Anybody?
Mandra. Mr. Vikas Mandra. Mr. A.K. Tyagi. Mr. Subir Purohit. And Mr. Ravi Bansal. SS Milling.
Was part of that meeting, so which is why there is a slight delay in his reaching. He's on his way, and thanks to the traffic, which is not quite good at this point of time, being a working day. So here we are again to the last session of this wonderful conclave. The biggest problem which Mr. Nitin Gadkari, I had a personal meet with him some time ago, and the biggest challenge before any micro, small, medium enterprise is growth. How do you grow? In fact, the session before us spoke about strategy for growth as well, but growth remains as a challenge. Micros remain micros for rest of their life. They may not, or they sometimes do not, move to the S category. Small remains small. They are not able to reach to the medium. And mediums reach medium, they are not able to reach the large. So, the role of business consulting, the role of professionals in the business, or मेरे साथ panel में, it's a very interesting panel here. I've got the lady sitting on the right, Richa Mehta, who's part of our own organization. She's a director in 3 of the companies. A young entrepreneur. I have with me on my right and your left, Mr. V.K. Bajaj, a seasoned veteran industrialist. He's into manufacturing of lingerie in a very big way. He's got 3 factories, and he's called king of lingerie in his own way. 3 factories. Or on my on my left and your right is Mr. Vikas Lalit Singh, beg your pardon, who's a business consultant. तो मैं बजाज साहब, सबसे पहले मैं आपसे शुरू करना चाहूँगा. आप 3 फैक्ट्रीज चलाते हैं और मुझे याद है when I was talking with Mr. Bajaj, he said कि मेरा हर साल 100% ग्रोथ का टारगेट है और मैं वो टारगेट अचीव भी करता हूँ. और मुझे बहुत खुशी होती है इनके चेहरे पे स्माइल देख के. और इनको नॉर्मली इंडस्ट्रीज का देखा जाता है कि उनके बाल झड़ने लग जाते हैं सिर पे से, वजन बढ़ने लग जाता है और they become 12 months pregnant also. पर मुझे बजाज साहब में वो ऐसा कुछ नहीं दिखा. He smiles, he jogs in the morning, he's you know, and he very confidently and very optimistic. He's very very optimistic. He says 100% growth तो हर साल करनी ही करनी है और खाली कहते नहीं है, करते भी हैं. तो 100% के हिसाब से तो बजाज साहब 15 करोड़, 30 करोड़, 60 करोड़, 120 करोड़, 240 करोड़, 480 करोड़, 960 करोड़. अब मुझे कैलकुलेटर की जरूरत पड़ने लगेगी. तो मेरा कहने का मतलब ये है कि जहां मुझे कैलकुलेशन में कैलकुलेटर चाहिए, आपको ग्रो करने के लिए कैलकुलेटर नहीं चाहिए. तो क्या वो मैजिक फॉर्मूला है ग्रो करने का? आपका यहाँ पर डायस पर हमें बहुत खुशी है और आपको आने का पर्पज ही यही है कि आप वो मैजिक फॉर्मूला बताएं जो 100% हर साल ग्रोथ होती है. डॉक्टर संदीप, आई थिंक इट isn't 100% ग्रोथ अनफॉलेबल ग्रोथ, इट इज एवरी ईयर. तो और वो भी क्या बेचते हैं, अंदर की बात है. You know, he's into lingerie business, which is a very tough market. It is not an easy market. आधे महीने चाइना रहते हैं और मुझे लगता है चाइना में कोई हर्ब मिलता है वहाँ पर ग्रो करने का, 100% ग्रो करने का. वो वहाँ से खा के आ जाते हैं और यहाँ के 100% ग्रो कर जाते हैं. तो अगर वो हर्ब है तो या तो हमें ला दीजिए, अगर वो नहीं है तो आप फॉर्मूला बता दीजिए. सीधी सीधी बात है.
लॉन्ड्री इंडस्ट्री जो है हमारी बहुत बैकवर्ड इंडस्ट्री है. अगर हम किसी भी जगह बात करेंगे तो बहुत ज़्यादा इज्जत की निगाहें नहीं है. आप गारमेंट इंडस्ट्री में आप 500-700 रुपये का, 1000 रुपये का गारमेंट बनाते हैं. जब लॉन्ड्री बनाते हैं तो बहुत कम रेंज की वो लॉन्ड्री होती है, मैक्सिमम 100 रुपये, 150 रुपये की, जो 1000-1500 की बाजार में रिटेल में बिकती है. ग्रोथ क्योंकि फैशन चेंज हो रहा है. आप 100% की बात करते हैं. हम लोगों का नज़र अगले 3 साल पर है. अगले 3 साल में क्या होने वाला है बाजार के अंदर, कहाँ चेंज कर सकते हैं अपने आप को, तो वहाँ हम लोग अपने आप को चेंज करें. हाँ, ये जरूर है कि हमारे पास कोई बिजनेस हेल्प नहीं है. हम लोग आमतौर पर जो हमारी इंडस्ट्री में आमतौर पर जो दिल्ली बेस्ड कंपनीज हैं, कोई बहुत ज़्यादा पढ़े लिखे लोग नहीं हैं जिनसे आप कहेंगे कि वो गवर्नमेंट की ये सारी फैसिलिटीज लेते हैं. शायद ही कोई आदमी गवर्नमेंट की किसी फैसिलिटीज को ले पाता है क्योंकि उसे पता ही नहीं है. गवर्नमेंट की कोई फैसिलिटी अखबार में छपती है तो किस कॉलेज में किसी को पता ही नहीं होता है. तो जो कुछ करते हैं हम लोग खुद करते हैं. मैं अकेला ऐसा नहीं हूँ कि जिसके पास ऐसी ग्रोथ है, या ऐसे शायद 50 लोग होंगे जो इस ग्रोथ में काम कर रहे हैं. कोई भी ऐसा आदमी नहीं जो पीछे एकदम मुड़ के देख रहा है.
बजाज साहब, जब हम जीडीपी देखते हैं 4.5% तो आप तो मोदी जी के सबसे बड़े एम्बेसडर होने चाहिए.
ठीक है, मोदी जी कहते हैं सबको साथ लेके चलो. अगर आज हमारी इंडस्ट्री में कोई भी चीज चाइना से नहीं आती है. अगर हम 4-5 साल पहले देखते हैं तो हर चीज चाइना से आ रही थी, इलास्टिक से लेके सब कुछ. पर इसी इंडस्ट्री ने अपने आप को पूरी चीजों को रोका है. आज हम लोग हर चीज जो चाइना में बनती है इंडिया में बना रहे हैं. और मैं बड़े ही आराम से बात कर सकता हूँ, 4 साल के बाद हम शायद चाइना भी एक्सपोर्ट करना शुरू करते हैं, क्योंकि हम लोग उनको सीख रहे हैं. वो लोग कर क्या रहे हैं, वो लोग गुरु हैं तो गुरु से तो सीखना चाहिए. कोहली साहब कहते हैं मैं 15 दिन में वहाँ पर होता है, 15 दिन पर तो मैं 15 दिन जरूर लगा के आता हूँ. समझना चाहता हूँ लोग क्या कर रहे हैं. जो टेक्नोलॉजी उनके पास है वो हमारे पास नहीं है, तो टेक्नोलॉजी लेने में कोई परेशानी नहीं है.